Good morning, happy Sunday. It's looking like things are changing slightly today. Still going to be beautiful and of course sunny, but the worst component, which is going to be the smoke, gets a lot better today. So here's a look at the upper level atmosphere, and this is what we've got going through for the next couple days. That lobe that you just saw develop Saturday evening into this morning is going to be affecting mostly Washington at first, but that's going to drop down far enough to get into our area, and it's actually going to stay parked out there for a lot of the week ahead. What that means is lower pressure, west winds, and cooler temperatures above your head. And cooler temperatures above your head translate down into the ground as well. So we'll see temps closer to average, maybe even below average. And with that, also west winds. Coming up this afternoon, though, because of this kink you see right there, there's actually going to be a little bit of instability out over the mountains too. It doesn't look like we quite have chances for thunderstorms. It's just might be a little bit cloudy coming up into the afternoon. But watch this pattern change as we move into Tuesday. Still that tip is overhead. Same thing goes for Wednesday too. So the coldest temps we'll see for this morning, since yesterday was pretty warm, about 60 for Medford, in those upper 50s for Grants Pass and Brookings, Klamath Falls as well. Wairika, one of the other areas, getting to about 60, and it's one of the only places where we'll see just a touch of morning cloud coverage as well. Everywhere inland is going to be mostly clear, and then on the coast we'll see that deep marine layer once again, but it will break up as we make our way later into the day. Then the rest of the day gets warmer. It's cooler than yesterday by just a few degrees, sticking in those low 90s for Medford and Grants Pass, and Brookings pretty average as usual there, 69 degrees, just almost dropping below the 90s in the Klamath Falls. But like I said, with that dip coming on through, we'll see these temps decreasing further into the week and getting into the 80s. But how do we get there for Medford this morning? Well, we're going to coast through those low 60s as we get to about 7:30 should be the coldest point of the day. That's where we'll hit that 60-degree mark. And we'll bump up into the mid-60s coming up through 8 a.m. into the later morning. We should see 80 before we get to noon. So still, of course, it is a warm day. The hottest point of the day, close to about 3:30, where we get into that 94-degree threshold and then drop off slightly. After that, we do hold on to a lot of heat though. Speaking of heat, if you feel like getting outside, maybe going for a hike out in the Siskiyous, it's going to be not as warm out there, so the heat's not as bad, but it is sunny, and something you'll notice is a lack of haze. It's not going to be nearly as hazy out there, and that's because we see our west winds turning on and kicking away all of the bad upper level smoke as we get later and later into the afternoon and the evening, and that's going to be the case moving into next week too. Check out the 7-day forecast. You'll see I've removed the haze off of most days. Even on the coast out there, we'll see those 60s, the high 60s for most of the week. For the Northern California area, sunny the entire way through. Still seeing the 90s for today, but we'll make our way into those high to mid 80s after that. Into the Klamath Basin, a similar story there too. Nothing but sunshine, getting into the 70s, 75 as we move into Wednesday. And for the Cascades and the mountains in general, we'll see the 60s down into the high 50s with sunshine all the way through. There's a lot of sun everywhere for this week, even though things are slightly cooler, and that includes the Rogue Valley as well. 92 today. We'll see those upper to mid 80s the rest of the week.